All right, so we're here. We're breaking in the new Saito FG60 right here. There's a lot of break-in stuff out there, but nobody shows like what the needle values are that they were using. So I'm pretty much going by the manual. So if you come over here, this is the low speed needle is inside the throttle. It's in that little circle. So how I set that for break-in was I closed it all the way, and then I backed it off 7 turns.
Okay.
And that's your low speed. Now, you come over here to the high speed. This is your high speed needle. And I closed that completely, backed it off 2 turns. That's just to get this thing idling. Then, after it starts, it'll start idling. I let it warm up for about a minute. And then I started going full throttle slowly. So I was adding throttle while turning the high speed knob. So now, as I got to full throttle, I'm probably about 8 turns out on the high speed needle, and it's running super rich, and you can see there's oil like that. There's oil over everything. Everything is coated with oil. They want you to run it really rich. So, but to get it to idle, it was closed on the low speed, 7 turns out, and I just didn't touch it. The high speed knob needle, I went closed. I opened it 2 turns, got it idling, went to full throttle. Used my tachometer. As I was going full throttle, I was turning the high speed out, and I got to about 8 turns. So now you'll be able to see how this thing runs when we go to start it. And this is horribly rich. It's incredible how this thing starts. So once the plane is on, ignition's on, you're going to want to get it idling. Now remember, it's super rich, so it's not going to run really good. And it really starts pretty easy. So here's your start. There's your start. So now it's idling. So now you're gently going to, let's move in the back.
Okay.
It's at about 1100 because I got to keep some throttle in it.
Okay.
Because it won't continue to idle. So now you just want to slowly advance the throttle, and you'll see here it's kicked down because I'm so rich. So now we're just going to run it like this. We're going to keep running. I got to get another probably tank full through, and then the break-in process is done. And then we'll show how we lean it out later. So stay tuned for that. The break-in process is done. So how we did that, we started with the reference numbers in the manual. So it was 2 turns out on the high-speed needle. It was 7 turns out on the low-speed needle. Then we went full throttle. We cranked the high-speed needle until the engine just barely ran. I did 2 of these 2 tanks of gas, which came out to be about 32 ounces, which is a 1/4 gallon, which is a liter, which is what they want. Then I took everything, I redid my throttle, servo, and then came the lean procedure. So I used the reference numbers. So I went 2 turns out on a high-speed needle. I was 7 turns out on a low-speed needle. I had no transition, and I was only getting about 5,400. So when I went, you do the high-speed first, full throttle. I got 68, almost 69, actually I got 7,100. Then I richened it back up, and that's probably, I started again at 2 turns out on the high speed, 7 turns out on the low speed. I'm probably about 3.5 turns out on the high needle, and I'm only at 6,600. So I get about 500 RPM for in the air. It's going to go up. It'll be running 71, probably 7,000 in the air. My low speed, I had no transition again at 7. I went all the way into 4 3/4. Now that I can tell you exactly is 4 3/4 in on the low speed, and I'll show you right now how it's idling, how it starts. It's got a real good idle. It idles really low. It's got a really good transition. And baby, why don't you step over here and
Well, I'm going to hold it.
I'll hold it and you can.
I can hold it, Phil.
Right, so you need to breathe to start. So
You
far,
sure?
it's been really good. So I'm going to just go through, I gave you the numbers, how I did it. It's really a little asshole puckering, or butt puckering, sorry, I don't want to offend anybody, to get your hand because the high speed
Yeah,
goes
it's right
here.
there.
And this thing's got to be at full throttle. So, but you'll see how this thing starts, and it idles. So here we go.
Yeah,
There you go.
piece of cake, yeah.
So now, it had a really bad transition. There's your idle. It's idling at about 1100, 1200 right there. I can go much lower, but I'll probably keep it there. But now, you'll see my full throttle, and then I'll do some transitions, and that'll give you an idea. So here we go. Here's full throttle. Transition. Real nice transition. No delay, nice smooth run. And then here's full throttle.
Nice.
There's your idle. I mean, look at how this thing idles.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Listen to that thing. It's perfect.